If you're a remote worker today, you're not alone. More people than ever are working from kitchen tables, coffee shops, co working spaces, and even toilets. Please don't tell my boss I said that. Today, we will look at the stories of two remote workers who do most of their work from home and really dive into what it's like to work from anywhere. Let's see how it goes. Guys, welcome back. When I said we'll talk about the stories of two remote workers, I meant my humble self and my friend. My name is Hassan. I build brands remotely and I work at AFX.
My name is Favour Odushola. I work with MoneyPoints as a CRM content specialist. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome, Favor. It's good to have you.
Thank you very
So,
much.
my man, I gotta ask, what's the journey been like for you?
Remote working.
I mean, obviously.
Anyways, I think so. I started working on sites. I started my career on sites, and I guess most of us did really. And then from there, I think the pandemic was actually what changed the entire working system, even for me. Uh, but then, the company I was working with during the pandemic still wanted us to do hybrid. To be fair, a couple of months remotely, then of course
During the
started
pandemic?
working. Yeah, I
Interesting.
worked hybrid. Although, but to be fair, it was like towards the time when they started easing down the lockdown
Oh,
measures.
I see. That makes sense.
So just the couple. So for some time, I was actually working remotely, fully remote.
Mhm.
Then later on, started working hybrid. But it felt like 2020 defined hybrid for me than remote. To be
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, I guess it's the same for everyone. 2020 was a defining year for me with remote work as well. And, one of the big problems when I had to transition into the remote working lifestyle was, you know how it is with the country, you know how it is. There's always the challenges with light,
Yeah,
with internet access,
internet.
all that stuff.
Very
And are
important.
you even a Nigerian remote worker if your grandma hasn't died 10 times or 20, or 20 times? Today she swallowed sword, tomorrow she fell into the river,
It's always one complication or the other. It's always like I think one of the things you're even missing out, to be fair, is, and I don't know, for people that maybe probably stay with your family or work from home, like your dad and mom,
I see where you're going with this. I see
and
where
then
you're
you're about to
going.
join a meeting and they're saying, and you just hear, Dele, shorty shaking here. Shh, I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting. Sometimes they don't even understand, what you're doing when you're not in a meeting or like when you're in a meeting. And, some of these little things can be a little bit frustrating. I think those are some peculiarities that comes with, or challenges, not challenges, but, remote working peculiarities. I think I would like to put it that way.
I think for the Nigerian, for the average Nigerian, maybe even African parent, they don't really grasp the concept
Set
of
of
remote
working
work.
for
It's
remote.
like, what are you even doing with your life? Go to school and become a doctor. Go home. Sorry, go to work for 7 hours, 10 hours. I don't want to see you in
I don't
this
want to see in
house.
this house.
And I- but things are starting to look up now. They're starting to understand better. Probably they see you can do things that you would not be able to do if you were truly unemployed, and,
Truly
and they just
unemployed.
understand.
Yes. So I think while they might not understand what you do, they might not be able to grasp the concept of an employer telling you, you know what, just stay in your bed and work. But I mean, they're seeing results, so I think at the end of the day, it's a win-win. And they might never really get to understand it. Maybe when they even understand it, they might not be able to grasp how it works. Like, how did we reach that conclusion? Like, why are you paying somebody salary to, work from home? But at the end of the day, it works.
Also, I think one common misconception that I think I hear all the time and see reflected in people's attitude to remote work is they think that if you work remotely, you're just lazy or you don't get anything done. And in my case, it's like, look, I do so much more remotely because I'm ashamed to say, but I don't have a life, man. I just
Yeah, I think, I
I
think, I think, I think, like to say to buttress what you just said. There was a time I read a tweet and the person said, if you actually work, so two things. If you go on site, you actually start working 7, and your day actually ends, let's say 9 or 10.
Yes, because
When you go on site. Now you might be working from, you might resume to office 9 o'clock and close office 5. That's best case scenario.
Yeah.
But like really, you've been on the road since 7, and you're gonna get back home, let's say around 9 or 10. However, as a remote worker, you actually start working more like round the clock. So the time you're even using to commute, in a way, you actually work. Because to be fair, we're not actually robots. Nobody's programmed to work 8 to 5.
Yeah.
So in reality, even when you work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, as the case may be, sometimes work spills over. Sometimes what works best for you is like working nights. There was a period in my life that I realized I was more nocturnal. So it meant I got things done. I would log in, to work during the day, but I'm still going to like do a lot of heavy lifting at night.
Yeah.
Right? And then so I would wake up, do my stand-ups and whatnot. But like, I think at the end of the day, you actually tend to do more as a remote worker than, even when you're on site, to be fair. And I think it's something that people need to actually understand. As a remote worker, you actually work.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like, the nature of jobs, it's, I'll borrow this idea from Naval, where he said most of life, is not like, life is not a marathon. That's the general idea. It's a marathon of sprints. Yeah. Little sprints here and there, and then you take a pause, you go again. So you see, with full-time come to the office job, it's 9 to 5. You spend all that. Sometimes I think the commute is more work than
the actual work.
Especially here in Lagos, where the traffic is
crazy.
And with this idea, it's like working from home. You just decide, I'm going to do all these things today. You finish them. You could finish 3 days work in a day's sprint. Now, I don't know how healthy that is. It works for me. I just pile up a bunch of stuff to do, and I say I'm going to complete all these things today. If I were going into the office, I'll probably spread it out for today. For
this
tomorrow,
is what it is.
The next
so
tomorrow.
At some point, it starts to feel like you're just ticking the box.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
I'm stretching the work to fit the time allotted to it. Exactly.
It fits the time allotted to you. I quite agree with that. I think bottom line is really, if you think out there that remote workers don't work, I think you have to rethink it.
Man, what's your routine like? Like, what do you do?
Honestly, I just wake up and actually start working. And it sounds maybe it sounds weird. I don't know if people can relate, but I actually wake up and start working. And that's because, take for instance, yesterday I slept around 4 a.m. And I have to be in a meeting by 9 a.m. So by 8, I'm awake.
I'm not sure a Proco doctor will be happy with you.
Oh, sorry. So we're talking by 7, I'm already awake. Typically I wake up 7. Even when I sleep 6, I still wake up 7. I don't know. So I wake up 7, and other times I wake up maybe 8 on the dot.
Yeah.
I do not have to have my bath or brush or do anything. I just swing into meeting mode straight up.
Really?
And start working. Recently I've been trying to adjust how that works for me, but to be fair, that's still pretty much my routine. So wake up, swing into work, then do like 2 hours or 3 hours worth of work. Then I remember oh shit, I've not eaten. Oh, okay, but before I eat, I have to brush my teeth. So I now brush my teeth, probably still procrastinate on taking my bath. It just seems a little bit stressful.
And that there is a big problem that I think exists with remote work. I haven't eaten, I haven't brushed my teeth. It's like, we're going into the office, there's time allotted for everything. There's break time. If you don't have food, then that is your excuse. But generally, you're expected to eat in this time period.
Lunchtime and stuff. Yeah.
But working remotely, it's like everything just gets blurred in.
So
time
the responsibility
for
time management is actually a lot more on you.
It's a whole lot more. And you can quickly fall into this unhealthy lifestyle where you're just at your desk all day, grinding. You fall out of shape and all that stuff. So, yeah, great thing you mentioned there about not eating and stuff.
So basically forget to eat sometimes 5 p.m. Yesterday I actually ate 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Then I remember that, oh my God, I've not eaten. Okay, what do I do? Then let me order food. So, and then, people think, I don't know, I used to think working remotely would mean, I'll have enough time to cook and do like Damn.
Oh, you're watching these TikTok videos. A day in the life of
It doesn't work. For me personally, it does not work. I still end up like doing takeouts
Mm-hmm.
and ordering and whatnot. And I don't know, it's unhealthy. I don't know, it's unhealthy. And I think the reason why it's unhealthy is because, human beings generally, which is why I believe in organization, I believe in structure to things. I think there's a certain level of deliberateness that you need to put in your life if all the 24 hours of the time belongs to you to just use, like within your. So, and I think that's what on-site probably does. Like you rightly said, you wake up early in the morning, you do your routine, your devotion, if you're Christian or a Muslim or whatever it is,
Yeah.
And then you have your bath, you do whatnot, and then you go to work between, let's say, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and then you're already back. Stuck in traffic for 2 hours, give it a...
But you're back nonetheless.
But you're back nonetheless. So it creates like some sort of structure to your life.
Yeah.
But like remote working can just...
You can mess everything up.
You can mess everything up.
If you're not very time conscious.
If you're not very time conscious. It's either you're overworking. And for some people, they will underwork to overwork. So like they spend more time doing things that are like just busying around and not necessarily getting things done. Then when it is time to get things done, they now like carry everything on their head at once. And then because it seems like you always have time. It always seems like you have time. Yeah. So I think but that's my routine basically.
But beyond remote working as a full-time employee, I think my most distressing experience was as a freelancer, right? You meet all kinds of clients. You meet all kinds of clients. There's the client where they ask, oh, what are you going to charge for this? You immediately say, this is it. They say, okay, done. There's the client that says, what? Aren't you doing this from your house? And there is also the case of, clients expecting that you can just finish everything like a magician, since after all you're working behind a laptop, you're there all day. They call you on Sundays, call you on Saturdays. They don't respect the Sabbath, man.
And you have to do the job. And
there is also the issue of payments. There's the issue of payments. Yeah. I think 2017, 18-ish, I was freelancing heavily at the time, still looking for gigs, just trying to change my story.
Young man has to also.
And I did meet a lot of clients at the time that the only thing that kept us apart, kept us from finishing that deal was payments. Because as a remote worker, freelancer remote worker based in Nigeria, Africa, that I know of, one serious challenge you face is payments, getting your money to you. I mean, a lot of these platforms, PayPal and some others, they don't let you get your money home, so you have to start searching. And I recall one time I met this client. It was all but settled. Like the deal was done, right? I was starting to imagine, oh, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that. And then we jumped on a meeting and it's like, oh, can I send the money to you? PayPal. I'm like, look, I don't have PayPal. And he proceeds to, is like, what do you mean you don't have PayPal? I thought you were in the US. And I'm like, no, I'm not in the US. And he's like, where are you? I said Nigeria. That day I started to doubt that honesty was the best policy. Because as soon as I said that,
your principle.
Look, he just started to say all sorts of things. You're a scammer, you're a this, you're a that. I'm like, look, chill, man, I need this money, please.
like, bro, please.
Help me out here. Help me to help you. But, that fell true. And that was the case for, a lot of other clients where they just hear where you're from. They're like, nah, I'm not giving my money to you. Aside the fact that they can't find a way to give the money to you, there is the problem of, I just don't know if I want to. You're halfway on the other side of the world. If you mess this up, how do I get a hold of you?
My money from
exactly. By the way, here's a shameless plug. If you're still watching, make sure to download AFX right now. especially if you're, you know, a remote worker, freelancer who is trying to get money from international clients. With the AFX app, you can sign up, get a USD bank account in your name in bare minutes, and be able to collect money from your clients anywhere in the world in USD. So, guys, make sure to download AfriX. I'm watching you. Seriously, please, please. So, back to the conversation.
Okay, so by the way, what has your experience been like finding remote jobs? Uh, of course, international and local. Because in my experience, in fact, there's something I wanted to say that there was a time I was on Twitter. I used Twitter a lot, and I saw someone ranting about how many applications she sent, but specifically for international jobs. She says she made up to 100 submission.
100.
I'm not even joking.
She needs to come learn from you.
She needs to come learn from you because, but then to be fair, I think it's something that people talk about how their jobs, their international jobs, jobs, but really, when you dig it, it's actually like I think that process tests you. It tests your patience. So they're like acts, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, so I see. Yes, I think for first off, it has to be clear that the opportunities, the job opportunities that are available, especially to international job opportunities available to Africans living in Africa, they are considerably limited because of issues those companies might face with filing taxes, etc. So my thinking is the jobs are not as many as the people looking for them. So it's very competitive.
Yeah.
You're competing with global talents. It's not going to be easy to get these jobs. First off, it's a numbers game, right? You can't send 5, 10 applications, hope that it's all going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, in my case, I was sending hundreds, right? I would spend weeks organizing. I had this spreadsheet where I was collating company names, learning about the companies, DMing founders, DMing people. It was just this long-winded process. But then much later, I realized that I might have been doing it the wrong way. Because despite being a numbers game, it is also an attention game. So people have to see you, right? So if you're DMing them, you're already coming in at a disadvantage.
Okay.
That changes if they were DMing you first. If they were coming to you and saying, "Look, interesting, can we chat?" Now that may not work. You may not land that job, but at least it's a much stronger lead. So I found that the hack is really do the best possible work you can.
Okay.
Put it out there. Just keep spamming. Whatever platform you think is where the clients you're targeting will find it, just keep spamming that platform with this things you've done. And don't be shy, don't be ashamed because nobody's gonna feed you,
Yeah, you mentioned something about number game and attention game. And then it came to mind that, while it is actually a number game, there is a very high chance that, there's this law of diminishing return. So, like the more applications you make, the less focus or, the quality of the application itself actually drops.
Yes.
So the quality of the application drops. So when you're DMing some people, you even find yourself just reusing a template.
Yeah.
That might not necessarily.
I mean, thanks to ChatGPT, right?
Yeah. So and I don't believe in mechanical process. At some point, it feels mechanical, and all you're just doing is rinse and repeat. So yes, I really do dig that. While it is also a number game, like you've said, I also align with you again because you also mentioned that it's also like an attention thing. You need to pay attention to the things that you actually put out there. And sometimes it's much more helpful if they are the one reaching out to you. And the only way they can reach out to you is if
they see what you're doing.
See what you're doing.
I mean, I also admit that this is it might not be industry, it might not be a general advice for all industries.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a software dev, if you're a designer, if you do anything that you can put out, people can see it's more useful for you.
Do you think there are some industries, because you're mentioning industry now, do you think there are some certain skill sets that are more remote, freelancing, international client friendly compared to like some jobs?
Yeah, this is
Because it feels now that you're talking about like some roles that are probably borderline tech, design, marketing.
Yep, I mean because I'm in this roles, or because I juggle positions in these roles, I have the experience there. And the way that I see it, I think that maybe a controversial opinion, but I think it's right that these people get more attention for the work they do. For instance, look at this. If I was a customer support agent,
Yeah.
how do I, what do I put out there and say, look, I'm available to work, right? What is the metric for success?
Success.
How do you measure? How do you say, right, this is the guy we need?
For
Okay, maybe I'm gonna do a nice voiceover. You're gonna say, oh, he has a nice voice, but how do you know that I'm empathetic to clients? Am I gonna do a mock video or something? So I think for some roles, some roles are just disadvantaged when it comes to this. So for people like that, man, I'd just say, play the numbers game.
play the numbers game. It's because I just felt like I needed to mention it because when people talk about remote working, when people talk about freelancing, international, getting an international client, it's usually digital marketing. It's always tech, products and whatnot. It always design, and so it makes me wonder, what's it like for other people with other skill sets out there. But that's basic. I guess if you have some finance skills or something, you could probably just bag one of those big four abroad and but that's an entire conversation difference on its own. Anyways, I wanted to ask something random, really random. I don't know how to phrase this. What's the weirdest way you dressed for an online meeting? I mean, for a virtual meeting. Like if they asked you to put on your camera, in the art of your art, you're in trouble. Like immediately.
This goes two ways.
Okay.
This goes two ways. Again, please don't tell my boss this. Sometimes I'm shirtless, right? It's like
I guess that's normal.
I'm just shirtless, and I hear, oh, let's put on the cameras so we see everybody's faces, and I'm like, yeah. Can you hear me? Right? And then there was this one time where I had this interview with these guys, and they were like, oh, so time, and they sounded so professional and all. So I came to that interview fully dressed, suits and all. I wasn't wearing trousers though, just
reminds me of that Microsoft meme where they tie wrapper and wear suits.
Right. And then I joined the meeting, and they're all wearing just t-shirts, and I'm like, okay, look who's overdressed. But that wasn't the worst part of it. The worst part of it was I was hearing a knock on the door at a time where I wasn't speaking, and I got carried away, right? So I just, stood up, wanted to go open the door without turning off my camera, and they're just like, yo, are those sweatpants? And, in that moment, I just knew, this isn't looking good for me.
Definitely not. I think one weird one for me was I think about 2 years ago thereabout. I was a couple of years ago actually. I can't exactly phrase it, but there was this clients. Well, I say clients, but there was this people I was working for. It was also remote, international, and I felt like the meeting was so boring. I slept off in the meeting. But that was
Favour,
not the bad.
We can't hear you.
But that was the bad part. That was not the bad part. If it was Favour, we can hear you. It should have been a different thing because I would have been. The video camera was on, so I was sleeping and they could see.
Oh my God!
It was such an embarrassing moment because I don't know. They had to call me on my phone, and then so my phone rang, and that was what actually woke me up. I just woke up to the camera like,
hi guys.
So it was long. It was also, I think one of the disadvantages of remote working really is also when it comes to these meetings. I think with remote working, you get to do more meetings. When you do more meetings, you can get burnt out pretty easily. Especially, I think meetings are more draining when you're doing it online, when it's virtual, than when it's physical. To be fair, because your attention span is. I don't know. It's not that much. Anyways, that was what happened to me. I don't sleep on meetings anymore.
Another important thing I just, remembered is I want us to look at the opportunity for growth. with
As in-
remote work. Because the way I see it, I feel like there's a ceiling, right?
Yeah.
If your entire career is remote, I feel like there could be a ceiling. I wonder if you started as a remote worker, are you ever going to rise to vice president doing remote work?
To be
That
fair,
is-
even if it starts as an on-site person, I don't know if you're going to rise to like, there was this CEO of Nike that started from an intern,
Yeah.
2 years after I became the CEO. And people were like, is that even possible like in today's work? I think with remote working actually gets worse. Also, personally, I usually, and it's a very controversial opinion that I do have, and I understand that people are progressive and all of that stuff, but I think the best way if you're starting out your career is probably not to work remotely. I don't know, I still feel like, and I work remotely. I love remote working. I champion it. But like, I think there's a certain level of competence, there's a certain level of professionalism that's working on site would imbibe into you. And
I
there's
agree.
also a certain level of interpersonal relationship you can build even at work that can actually set you up
free
for.
mentorship, you know.
Yeah, free
you just
mentorship.
learn from the OGs just by being around them.
And I actually think, and I may be wrong, that's one of the things that, and I'm not going to solely attribute it to remote working.
Yeah.
But like, I think there is also like a mentorship gap in workplaces, like a very wide gap. So the gap between the
Agreed.
people who actually know their stuff at the senior level and the people who are upcoming, either in the junior level or mid level. Now, it's
Wait.
possible for me.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to call you out on that one. Do you think it's a mentorship gap, or do you think it's a hiring problem? Maybe a skill issue?
So
Could
I
it be
think when
maybe these people hired are just not the right fit, or they're not hired
so
for
that's
the right reasons.
so that's why I first said that I might be wrong. I understand that there's no one way to say it, but I
Yeah.
think when it comes to people, companies are like, they have a responsibility to train whoever they are hiring, whatever
very
it
true.
is, right? That's the responsibility, to be fair. And that's why all of these hierarchies exist. You start as a graduate trainee, that's for the typical corporate
Yeah.
world. You start as a graduate trainee, you move up the ladder as you continue to grow. Once they see prospects, you keep
Yeah.
moving. So, but like, I still think that while, yes, of course, there might be a skill issue from I still think that there is a mentorship gap. There is it's just there. You just know, like when you see somebody who has been doing this for a while and they are really good, and somebody who's upcoming, if it makes it look like when you meet an upcoming person that is really good, this is a generational talent. Like, because it's just a whole lot of, I don't know. But again, like I said, it's a personal opinion. So I think there is a mentorship gap, and it's possible, in my opinion, that remote working could further widen that gap.
Yeah.
So it already exists, not even not because of remote working. It could be because some companies are not even so conscious about, putting, there's supposed to be like a peer-to-peer mentorship. There should be senior
Yeah.
to junior. In fact, I read about a company that actually assigns, they don't just assign you to a supervisor that helps you to get work done. They assign you to a supervisor that actually helps you to put your career on the track, like literally.
That's nice.
Yeah, I read about it, I think sometime in 2020. So literally what they do is, you're a senior analyst at this, you are just coming in, you will shadow this person. Literally. And not
So
shadowing
the
because you want to
opportunity
get
for
past.
growth is just
It's
just
there. But even with that kind of concept, imagine if it was remote working too. Even if it's that effective, it would not be as effective as, physical. So the point I'm making is, remote working, I think, could also like create a very massive gap. I think we underestimate how much we can learn from people interpersonally. I'm not even talking about learning the skills on your own. And I'm a very big advocate of, learning stuff on your own, because that's actually the best way. We have YouTube and we have all of these plethoras of courses and stuff you can take. But like,
well, learning stuff on your own is great. And I'm self-taught at many things. So I know that there is one big advantage where that mentorship gap you spoke about earlier, it's a problem. You can be great at something, not know how to price it.
yeah,
You can be great at something, but just not know how to integrate it into other things, how to work with teams to build something, because you're self-taught and you just know how to do this
thing.
single thing.
Yeah.
So self-taught is good, but I think people should take time to interact. To learn how to play with teams.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's one, controversial opinion I have about. I still feel like, and, there was something I was going to say that I can't imagine what remote working is going to look like. I have two major, I won't call it predictions. I'm no expert to actually predict. But like the way I see remote working, how it's going to work, be work from home, whatever it is. I am seeing a possibility that we'll probably go back to on-sites. At best, hybrid.
I won't be there.
At best, hybrid. And I'm seeing, and the reason I'm saying hybrid, I'm actually leaning more to hybrid is because you're seeing these companies now creating like little hubs around like strategic areas.
I think hybrid is good.
Where you can create like
you meet your co-workers, you understand each other better.
And it could be, and hybrid means that I think what remote working is actually going to change is how we work and not necessarily how we work in sense that we don't have to go to office. So companies are looking, for example, I was mentioning that companies are looking into creating small hubs, like smaller hubs, like where people can come. You don't necessarily have to come by 9 and leave by 5. You could stroll in anytime you want to work, but there will be people there as far as you get work done. So there will be a more flexible way to. I think remote working would offer, maybe the way I see it, at some point the progressives will give more flexibility, but I'm not necessarily sure if it's going to actually be the norm where people actually have to work from which save the international client thing. If you have to work with the national, obviously you have to, and there are a lot of skill sets that allows you to work anywhere in the world. Yeah, so I agree with that, but I also think that there is also going to be like hybrid is going to actually like probably stronger than remotes and all of that stuff. I think the second second thing I think is we might actually get to a point where, and it's just very ridiculous, and I don't know why I'm thinking about it. Maybe it's too much movies. But just imagine that the next meeting you want to have, all you just have to do is to get your teleportation device or something that just, shows where you're seated, wherever you're seated. Everybody's seated together, but we're like in different areas.
I guess
like the way you're seated right now, if you want to have a meeting with your boss can literally be here.
Well, I guess that's something this Apple VR glasses can help.
Like with. I think that is actually even more of an immersive.
But how many people can afford that at the start of their remote working?
That's even at immersive level.
Yeah.
I'm even talking about at light, like when people can literally be there when they are not there.
So you're thinking sci-fi right now, yeah?
Thinking in sci-fi, stuff like that. So we have just 10 minutes more.
Okay. Well, I think between us, we probably have over 10 years of remote working experience.
Yeah.
So I think we're well placed to give some advice, some tips on what you can do to get jobs, to keep jobs, to be a better remote worker, basically. So you go first. Well, what do you think are some things people can do to succeed at remote work?
I think first of all, what's something that's very important is time management. Okay, time management. Time management is very important. And I'm saying time management because I think more than ever before, the responsibility to manage our time is actually in our hands. More than ever before.
Yeah.
More than ever before. I think we underestimate the former structure, what the former structure was like, where you can just, somebody has already dictated it and you just have to just blend it. But now, time management is actually very important. And to actually do well as a remote worker, I think people have to actually work harder to actually be able to prove that they are actually competent or they are deserving of the spots that they have in any company, any organization, or even when they're working with clients. And it means, there's some things that if I was going on site, if I was seeing you, can easily be excusable. I don't know, there are some things but as a remote worker, it's not. And, sometimes, even in how you communicate your deadlines, how you meet up with stuff, some understanding can be lost in some things. So there's a way people can just misinterpret your silence, for instance. You can't afford to not be able to communicate.
Yeah.
So I think more than ever before, some of those things that we called workplace soft skills, you actually need them more for remote working because now things can actually go south easily. So communication skills, you need to be able to communicate. Time management, your time is in your hand, and it's in two folds. First, for your own health, you do not want to work, overwork yourself. You do not want to also not work at all and, put your company or whatever organization you're working with into jeopardy. So you have to just have that fine balance and the responsibilities on you. I think if I'm going to add one more thing with remote working, I think people should also try to have fun. And when I'm saying fun, I'm talking about, I think maybe not fun, maybe the fun is not the word I'm looking for, but I think when it comes to remote work, I think people should also make personal effort to actually connect with their colleagues on a more personal level outside the virtual scope of work. Yeah. I personally like the idea of it. You know, there's this person who I roll with at the office.
I mean, I always look forward to company retreats.
And yeah, company retreats. Thank God for company retreats. So yeah, I think those are like some things you need, apart from the fact that you only obviously need to be competent at what you do, you know, upskill, all of those basic things. But I'm saying that you've gotten the job now. You need to stay at it. I think time management is critical for you, and communication skills.
I also think that one very important thing that we've not spoken about is learning to use remote working tools. You know, maybe you're not comfortable with Slack. Maybe most of your conversation happens in the office. Maybe you know, you don't use Notion also often. Asana, you know, all those tools. Google Workspace.
Google Workspace.
You know, it's not going to be really helpful if you're remote working. You can't create spreadsheets. So these little things that seem like, oh, it's just a bug here and there, I can fix it. I think people should work on them. You should get familiar with these tools because, man, I think they're here to stay. Another thing I think that would help.
Sorry, before you continue, I wanted to say something. That habit of I sent you a message on WhatsApp.
It
Sorry,
has to
Chief,
stop.
I never see it.
It has to
I didn't
stop.
see it because come on, you're working remotely. There's no such thing as sorry, I didn't see it. I was not with my phone. And I think at my early stage of remote working, I struggled with that a lot. The first company I actually worked with remotely was in 2021. Damn, you might seem lady saying it. And because it was not my fault. There was no lights. I was staying in like I think I was not prepared for the remotes for the the
remote working experience.
So I could just say that my phone was dead. And in my mind I actually feel so justified because what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I feel you.
You get so, but like it's actually bad habits. You know, one has to actually like put this.
Look, I guess we've had a lot of fun, you know, on the show so far.
Yeah, I think we have. I believe so.
Work's calling. It's time for us to go, man. So,
yeah, remote working.
Thank you so much for, you know, coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
And well, I guess will we be seeing you next time?
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for, you know, tuning in. This is our pilot episode where we're bringing more of this to your screens. So just subscribe, like, comment. Tell us the kind of stories you want to hear, and we'll make them available for you. In the meantime, again, please go download the AFX app. If you're a freelancer, if you're a remote worker, it's great for you. You can create USD accounts in minutes in your name and start receiving money from your clients anywhere in the world. It's that easy. I'll see you guys. No, I won't see you guys. But, you know, until next time, take care.